This is an invasion.
The MAGA crowds aren't dwindling. This weekend in Georgia, the former president drew another big audience. They're urging him to run again in 2024. I brought up the subject with a twist.
What will make you not run in 2024? In other words, what would be a reason not to run?
Well, I guess a bad call from a doctor or something, right? You know, you get that call and say, hey, sir, how you doing? Come on down here and see us because we got a bad report, right? So things happen through God. They happen. And, but I feel so good, and I hate what's happening to our country.
Trump has a long list of issues with this administration. After being called the most pro-life president ever, Trump says he's seen the exact opposite approach from this Catholic president.
If you look at his policies and if you look at what he's doing to religion and organized religion, if you look at what's going on, I don't know how the Catholic Church can be supportive of him.
His support among independent voters has seen a drop as well. That's mainly due to the southern border situation, and Trump puts the blame squarely on the current president.
All he had to do is, I say, go to the beach. Just relax, Joe. Go to the beach. We had it the best ever in the history of that border, the southern border. And now it's the worst in history, and it's probably the worst border anywhere in the world, if you think of it, because no border has ever been like what's happening at our border. It's the destruction from inside of our country.
Trump's critics say his unconventional toxicity and lies are responsible for destroying the country, too. The January 6th Congressional Committee wants to see all documents and correspondences that he had on that day in January. Biden's White House is set to forego the traditions of executive privilege and release those records.
It's a disgrace what's going on. This is just another continuation of really, you'd call it the greatest witch hunt in history.
You're going to sue,
and a disgrace.
Will you look at suing them in court? Are you thinking about it?
I'll do whatever is necessary.
He'll also do whatever is necessary to let everyone know that it was his administration who delivered a vaccine in record time. But what about those mandates that have become so controversial?
Have they been discriminatory against the unvaccinated in this country?
Since I left, I think people just don't trust the Biden administration or Biden, because since I left, now you have the mandate fight, and that's a big fight, by the way, and you have to allow people their freedoms.
And now the people also wait for a decision from the Donald to see if he's ready to give the presidency another shot.
Well, Chief Political Correspondent David Brody is with us. David, you know, the last campaign was run in large measure against Trump, and he did have a lot of problems with women, especially suburban women. So what do you view his chances in the next election?
Well, Pat, as you know, it's always a base election. And what I mean by that is you got to get out the base. So the Trump campaign, I say the Trump campaign, am I getting ahead of myself? The potential Trump campaign will know that they have to do an even better job of getting out more of those MAGA faithful. But they're also encouraged, a lot of folks in Trump orbit, by this idea that independent support for President Biden has dropped significantly, as we've reported here on the 700 Club, going from 55% among support regarding independence to about 37%. And they're concerned about immigration. They're concerned about, obviously, what's going on at the border. And so when you put that out there, it gives Donald Trump a potential to say, hey, you know what? The time may be right again to run again. We'll see. But it was an interesting answer for sure about the bad call from his doctor.
The only reason why he wouldn't run is if his ticker isn't working.
That's right.
David, how do you see Republican chances to take back the Senate and the House in 22?
Well, it's all right there for the taking, Pat, and leave it to the Republicans to blow it. But look, I mean, there's no doubt they only need to flip, what is it, about 5 House seats? I mean, it depends on the special elections that come and go, but it's about 5 House seats right now. And so, look, they've got not only a chance, but they've got a very, very good chance of winning the House. And redistricting has helped them. Let's be honest, Joe Biden and his policies have helped them, as I just pointed out, with the independents sinking. And then, of course, in the Senate, look, there are about 10 toss-up seats, if you will. Pennsylvania, Georgia, those are going to be big big ones, Wisconsin as well. The bottom line is Republicans could actually pick up the Senate, too. It'll be a little trickier, but in a climate that seems to be favoring Republicans, I'll tell you what, this could be the last chance for Democrats to pass some of the sweeping legislation that we've been hearing all about in this show and, of course, for weeks and months. And that's why they want to get it done, because they know their time in the majority seems to be potentially running out in 2022.
I think you're exactly right. You know, just focus on Georgia. There were a couple of those races that were kind of squirrely in the last election, and Sonny Perdue, one of those people, ought to come back in. Don't you feel that's the case?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, over the weekend in Georgia, Donald Trump saying out loud at the rally, hey, David Perdue, are you going to run again? Why don't you run again? So he would like to see him do that. Raphael Warnock going to be in some trouble, obviously, in Georgia. That is a tough seat for Democrats to hold on to. But then again, and don't get me started with ballot harvesting and some of the stuff that Stacey Abrams and others are doing down there in Georgia. But I'll tell you what, it's going to be an interesting race in Georgia.
David, thanks so much.